Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on Inside and Out. Spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Zerg drones from South Korea, we have soO's. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Terran SCVs, he goes by the name of Ryung, and Ryung is of course also from South Korea. Alrighty, now this is a longer game of TVZ. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down. The last few times that I saw soO's playing a late game Terran versus Zerg, he was just refusing to make spellcasters. Admittedly, that was when he just came back from his mandatory military service. I haven't seen as many of his games recently, but there's no denying that he was just throwing Zerglings, Banelings, and Hydralisks at the problem over and over and over again, and it didn't seem to be as successful. One of the reasons, though, why I'm personally a big fan of soO's is, even though he doesn't mix in a lot of spellcasters himself, he's perfectly capable of doing so. He's really good at microing them. However, I suck at microing late-game spellcasters. I'm not very good at controlling, queens and infestors and vipers all at the same time. So usually whenever I'm struggling in one of my games, I will usually get some inspiration from soO's approach instead, because there's no denying that soO's definitely likes to take the face tank approach, right? He's one of those guys who, at least I imagine, if he were to play an RPG, he will probably put all of his points in damage and in speed and 0 in survivability, right? Like a complete glass cannon approach, and I found that at the very least to be rather successful as well in my games, because, well, playing the strong macro game, while a lot of fun, sitting back and waiting for your opponent to engage and then hit the perfect fungal growth neural parasite, using the spellcasters of your opponent with the neural parasite while simultaneously abducting and then also hitting the parasitic bomb and making sure your queens are transfusing and, trying to actually micro your corruptors and all. It's really quite tricky. Anyhow, Mr. Ryung, in case you're unfamiliar, I mean, he's always been around, right? So Ryung has been playing this game at a very high level for as long as I remember, so that must be since like 2010, 2011 or so. He also had to do his mandatory military service some time ago. He came back to the game as well, and he's always been very good. Like, maybe not necessarily the best micro, the best macro, but what always, impresses me of Ryung is that he's a very strategic player. Word on the street has, well, at least the word on the StarCraft street has it that, he discusses strategy a lot with Maru. And obviously Maru is pretty good at this game, as you may very well be aware. Ryung actually, I think the oldest StarCraft 2 pro player from Korea, although it might be someone else. I think he is. I know some people are always offended whenever I bring up oldest, okay? These guys are athletes, right? Like, they're performing at a very high level, but Ryung is 31 years old. AKA basically a boomer. Okay, no, I can still say it now. I'm turning 30 myself in a couple weeks from here. And, yeah. Looking forward to the back pain. Waking up at 4 in the morning to go to the bathroom, that sort of thing, right? Isn't that what you do when you turn 30? Pretty sure that's how it goes. Anyhow, as I'm making this video, soO's is currently the rank 15 in South Korea, and Ryung currently the rank 18. So it should be a very evenly matched game of a very high-level StarCraft. So far, pretty standard openers here. Bit of a later starport here because Ryung decided to favor a quicker third command center. This is one of those builds that can technically be a little bit risky, but I like it quite a bit when you go for the triple CC opener and then still, get that blind benchy going. One of the builds that you might be losing against if you skip the benchy, especially when going triple CC, is of course those roach aggressions, and soO's definitely does not shy away from those pushes. In this case though, he's not going for any of that. Just a standard triple hedge start here for soO's, adding on queens. Basically what he's doing right now is he's setting himself up for a nice defensive early game. Try to make as many drones as possible, try to lose as few of them as possible as well, and try to delay that army, or try and delay that army rather, for as long as possible too. Okay, Reaper goes back into the main base. Very ambitious. He probably saw the creep tumor over there, or at the very least the distance that creep had already spread, so figured I'm not gonna dive in the back of that mineral line. Might be nice to know that roaches could be coming across the map, but if you already have roaches, or sorry, if you already have benchies, those roaches would be countered relatively easily. There's the Baneling nest. I'm expecting a lair very soon as well from soO's, so we're gonna be seeing that, there it is, that Baneling speed upgrade here very quickly too. Alright, this is one of those I don't want to die to anything stupid openers as Zerg. Because in theory, if you control all of this well, you really shouldn't take damage from anything. Which is nice. So, we're definitely setting ourselves up for a big macro game here. This match is not going to be decided in the next couple of minutes. Both of these players are just happily macroing up. Up to this point, though, Ryung has done absolutely no damage yet. And you can see that reflected here in the worker count, right? That is where the game becomes rather tricky. I mean, it's not quite reflected yet in the income advantage, but that's mostly because those mules are still bringing in quite a few resources too. But as this game proceeds, soO's is definitely going to get a nice advantage in that department. He's probably going to go for a fourth hatch. Okay, makes sense. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to go for a macro hatchery or maybe even a secondary fourth base over here and basically treat that as a macro hatchery because he's very Ling Bane focused. And whenever you're Ling Bane focused, you might just run out of larva. Anyways, here come the Banshees. Can these maybe get some work in? Okay. No perfect target firing there. Could have probably gotten one more, but in the end, 5 workers is not bad. Maybe even get a queen. Brenda hugging the hatchery. Apparently the Banshees are not going to stay around for too long. Not my favorite Banshee control. But 6 workers. 7 workers? Okay, 6 workers. Nothing to shy away from. Yeah, he's not done yet. Okay, alright, this is looking a whole lot better now. Yep. Getting almost 2 digits worth of drones. Especially at the cost of absolutely nothing. Always what you want to see, right? That's what you're looking for here as Terran. Good start right now for Ryung. Interestingly enough, by the way, soO's decided to go for this base over here. So all of his expansions are, yeah, on a horizontal line. There's the macro hatch, by the way. This could be a little bit tricky to scout, but I actually quite like it, especially against the double Banshee. This fourth hatchery could have actually been in trouble if it was placed over in this location, because then the Banshees would have gone around and then, you know, up over there. They can sometimes just get the kill on that pretty easily, especially if you don't have detection in the right place at the right time. But yeah, obviously getting 9 worker kills at the 6-minute mark is not quite the same as losing them a couple minutes earlier, because soO already had a very solid economy, so he was able to replenish those workers pretty easily too. It does mean, though, that his army is going to be a little bit smaller here to defend this timing attack. So, Ryung coming across, +1/+1 finishing up in 10 seconds. Combat shields a little bit behind, Stimpack should already be done. So he's going to be able to hit his opponent in the face right now, and that's where those 10 drone kills can be, or 9 drone kills can be very helpful. Because those 9 drones, if they weren't killed, there would have been roughly, well, 20 more Zerglings at this point in the game. The rooks are not down yet. So getting this army cleaned up might just be incredibly difficult. Is he going to go for a counterattack, or is he going to set up a wraparound? I don't mind either choice. Okay. He's going to have to pull the trigger here at some point. Question is, when? Yeah. The longer that he waits, the better this gets for the Zerg, right? So look at the amount of Zerglings coming in from the back right now as well. Queen's taking some of the siege tank shots, just transfusing whatever they can. Lings and Banes, though, absolutely trash that army. And without the rooks down, it doesn't really matter all too much. soO's is still going to be able to clean that up. So that is one of those strategic approaches, right? Like, technically speaking, the attack was really cool from Ryung. He's like, okay, I'm going to siege up right over here. Everything is hard to reach. But in a real game, what happens if the Zerg just sort of dances back and forth, right? What would really pull the trigger is if this hatchery here in the bottom right-hand corner would have been in trouble, right? If the Marines were far enough forward to actually threaten the hatchery, then soO had to actually attack a little bit sooner there. But in this particular case, he just sat back for a while longer, waited a few more production cycles, and yeah, suddenly that Zerg army was just much too big. Strategically, the right move, I think, right there from Ryung, but should have definitely attacked a little bit earlier. In the meantime, though, 4th Command Center was produced. That one's probably going to morph into a planetary fortress here in just a moment. 2 upgrades are coming up as well. But soO has now finished up that bottom right-hand corner base, and he's going to go for a new hatchery over here, too, that already finished, too. So he's going to go straight into an infestation pit. So are we going to see spellcasters? That's what I'm really curious about. I mean, the queens, I guess, are spellcasters, right? But good luck trying to play a Zerg game without those bad boys. Or bad girls, whatever you want to say. Anyhow, good luck trying to play a game without queens. Mostly curious is whether or not he's gonna make any infestors. I think that the infestation pit is just to go straight towards the hive. Yep, there it is. Yeah, he refuses to play a spellcaster-based army most of the time, which is kind of interesting. Like, if you compare it to a Serral, for example, Serral's gonna sit there and make, you know, lurkers and infestors and vipers and static defense all over the map, but no, so sending Zerglings, Banelings, and Hydras to their deaths. Well, you know what? That Widowmine just now got a massive hit in. Yeah, Terran army is holding strong, and Su drops in supply incredibly quickly. That's the real strength of those Widowmines, right? Sometimes they accidentally blow the Zerg army up. And other times, well, you lose your own Terran force. Either way, nice advantage right now for Ryung. Does he have enough, though, to just continuously push here? +2/+2, not done for the Zerg just yet, but it's already finished for the Terran. So these bio units are going to be quite a bit stronger for 10 more seconds. Hive is finishing up as well, so Su should be able to go into 3-3 together with Adrenal Glands and continuously upgrade. Okay, Ryung getting his own upgrades as well. Love seeing that. Widowmines, Widowmines, Widowmines! Woo! That was close. There's the ghost coming up. Yeah, in my mind, right, whenever I play a game of TVZ, and I know that this is mostly just me finding excuses, so, you know, I'm fully self-aware of that, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the ghosts, what do they counter? They counter infestors, they counter lurkers, they counter vipers, they counter ultralists, they counter brute lords. They're good against all the late-game Zerg units. So basically what I'm saying is I'm looking for an excuse to just continuously make Zerglings and Banes instead, okay? It's a really smart thing to do. Highly recommend it whenever you're in a bad situation, in life in general. Don't just take responsibility for it, okay? Just find an excuse and blame that instead. Okay, bad life advice. No, not very good at all. Massive Doom Drop going into the main base. Beautiful move right here from Ryung. He is morphing, or sorry, he is moving in on 3 Spore Crawlers, which a little bit aggressive, but apparently that is not gonna push him back. Hive ended up going down, which is fantastic. A lair starts up again. That's the second lair. Banelings, though, do connect. Quite a few of the Terran units actually do end up going down instead of the main base of the Zerg at the same time. Bottom right-hand corner. Yep, Terran army is going to continuously push forward. Already, though, a couple of Lings and Banes are available, too, and they're going to clean those units up. In the meantime, the dropships, they've arrived on the left side of the map again. This time around, though, at the 9 o'clock position, ready to take care of another hatchery. And I do think... no, don't think? No, I didn't think of that, actually. No. Ooh, definitely did not think he was going to be able to get that hatch. No. Anyhow, in the end... Yeah, good advantage here for Ryung, but... yeah, he certainly threw away more units than he absolutely needed to. In the meantime, by the way, I saw him going for additional factories. Don't know where they are. Ah, here they are. Couple additional factories. He's pumping out still more biological units right now because he probably lost a little bit more than he anticipated on as well. Command centers are coming up, but yeah, most importantly, he's getting the ghosts. The ghosts are an absolutely amazing unit here at this point in the game. I mean, I say that. They're really good, right? Especially if Zerg plays anything but what he's playing right now. That was really expensive. A ton of Banelings ended up going down there. I think they're a really good unit. Like, they're still not bad, okay? Even in this scenario. But I think Hydra Bane is one of the few unit compositions where ghosts aren't amazing. So I don't think you want to get carried away with the ghosts, right? Like, the problem is ghosts, they are still very strong, obviously. They still certainly pack a punch, but they don't have stim pack, and they're like 10 times more expensive, at the very least that's what it feels like, than a couple of those Marines. Well, he's pumping out 5 ghosts at once. I mean, to be fair, 99% of the Zerg players don't stick around on Hydroling Bane the entire game long. So, you know, maybe you don't have as much practice against the Zerg player who's just sticking around on the mid-game unit composition the entire time and who refuses to go for spellcasters. Do we have any? No. Well, the queens, again. Okay. So, Even though we're getting into late game upgrades... Ooh, Drilling Claws is actually very late. Even though we're getting into late game upgrades, though, we're still very much so at mid-game economies, right? Both players have taken a lot of losses. And because of that, yeah, they don't actually have massive banks here. And in Ryung's case, he's not even maxed out anymore, although, well, if he were to produce a couple of Marines, he would get there pretty quickly. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic here between these armies. I'm inclined to think that overall it's better for the Terran, because he does have a bunch of ghosts in the mix, and he's got so many Widow Mines set up, and a bunch of siege tanks too, but... yeah, it really comes down to where that splash damage really lands, right? If the Banelings can connect with the Bioforce, could do a lot of damage. If the Widow Mines and the siege tanks can blow up those Zerg units before that happens, obviously that's fantastic too. Good little bit of control. Good pickup. Well, except for these guys. Sorry, lads. Ugh. Okay. So he actually prioritized... maybe he accidentally queued up the upgrades or something. Anyways, he prioritized the +3 carapace upgrade over the melee upgrade, which I don't think is what you want to do. Anyhow, at this point, nice little upgrade advantage. Banelings hunting down whatever they can. Ghosts, though, still rather beefy units. They don't take nearly as much damage from those Banelings as you would imagine. Maybe they have some sort of special suit. I wonder why they take so much less damage, right? Lore-wise, at the very least. Like, maybe they just wear better spacesuits. I'm not exactly sure. It's the only thing that I can come up with. Anyhow. Once again, though, these fights... ugh. Fantastic for the Terran. Really good. Like, he loses the Planetary Fortress, sure. But those are not armies that Zerg can just replenish a million times over. He's already at 454 Zerglings that ended up going down in this game. He's lost way more resources than the Terran. And while he definitely has been mining more as well, it's not like soO here is rich. It's funny, though, how that never changes, right? Still just good old Hydraling Bane. Every Zerg player out there putting on their top hats, their monocles, they take out their notebooks while going on a walk in the park and like, you know what I need to do? I need to sprinkle in exactly 3 Infestors. And I need to go 2 Vipers. And, you know, if I deal this amount of damage, I'm going to add in 17 Lurkers precisely. And then soO is saying, okay, you know what? Just make Zerglings. Just make Banelings. Just make Hydras. Just roll them in. Hope for a juicy connection. And this is already looking a little bit better. That being said, the siege tanks, though, are still... not just gunning down the Banes, but they're also getting killed by Banes, which is still a good trait for the Terran. Yeah, you know what? I was doubting the Ghost Army, but even against Hydra Bane, they're pretty good. If Terrans could only figure out a way to give those units Stimpec, that would be amazing. Just make them share the same locker room or something. I don't know how those Marines get Stimpecs, but yeah, they clearly have separate locker rooms inside of the barracks, right? Maybe they get, I don't know, grown up in the technology level. I don't know how it works, but Ghost with Stimpec would be terrifying. He does have the personal cloaking upgrade. Fun fact, by the way. The Blizzard guys never bothered making separate icons for the Banshee cloaking as well as the Ghost cloaking, which is kind of funny. You'd imagine they would get around to that at some point, but they never have. Anyhow. Planetary Fortress here, built at the 3 o'clock position, while soO is making a base all the way in the top left. So soO's plan in this game is to throw more and more units at his problem. And even though so far it's not been Ooh, what's this? Crazy day for soO. Neural Parasite coming up. Even though so far it hasn't really worked that well, he's successfully contained the Terran on a relatively small amount of bases. If he can mine out the expansion in the top left, that would be fantastic for the Zerg. Like, basically what he needs to do is mine out one of the bases that's on the side of the Terran, right? So if you draw like a diagonal map through the minimap like this, or like a diagonal line, if he can mine out one of those bases, yeah, he's going to be in a fantastic position. It's just difficult to do that on inside and out. I love all the preparation here in case of like Brute Lords and all the rest of it, but Assimilation. I need to go back. Assimilation successful. Did I miss it? Oh. It's a special day. There's 2 of them even. Wow. How far did I go back in this game? Ah, okay, so he's baiting the Hydra, or sorry, the ghost with the Hydralisks to then go for the Neural Parasite and EMP the rest of the ghosts? Ah, you know what? That was nice, I guess. But doesn't do that much. Like, that's mostly him being a bit of a jerk, right? Like, what are those ghosts actually using their energy on? They're not really sniping that much. Well, now they're sniping because there are infestors out. Well, there were infestors out, but they're not really, like, using their snipes here on the Hydras or the Banelings or the Zerglings, right? So it's not as useful. They're not using EMP either, so... yeah, getting rid of the energy out of those ghosts for a little bit is nice, I guess. But that doesn't really achieve all too much. I think that's Su just having a little bit of fun, flexing with the amount of APM that he's got. He's got quite a bit of that. Here comes the Zerg army once again, and it's really just Banelings, it seems. Whew. Banelings now hiding on the ramp too. I like that a whole lot better. There's no detection here available for Ryung, so if those ghosts would have followed up the ramp, that would have been amazing. Another infestor coming right up. Fungal growth, I think, though, would be much better here than a Neural Parasite on the ghosts. Anyhow. 619 Zerglings so far in this game. That's a lot of Zerglings. That's a lot of Zerglings. There's actually 100 on the map right now. 24 more coming. This might be one of the very rare occasions where we're going to see 1,000 Zerglings in one game. Because Su is not done yet. He's in a good position right now, though. I like this a lot for him. A couple of Zerglings, by the way, pretending to be Banelings. Anyhow, once again, coming down the ramp. Widow Mines. Not getting a connection in just yet, but I think that's because Ryung is busy over here running with the ghosts. He's in a world of hurt right now, though, just losing unit after unit after unit. And again, none of these traits are particularly cost efficient, but every time he does anything, there's Okay. That was a little more anticlimactic than I expected, but hey. He got the kills there eventually, and that's all that really matters. Fantastic situation right now for Su. So even though the traits aren't useful, or you know, they're useful, but like not cost efficient, resource-wise not as useful, but they're working out because Su has got a lot more income, right? But he's still not a rich boy. Okay. That Widow Mine somehow managed to get a ridiculous amount of range. Don't do another Neural Parasite. It doesn't do anything. Maybe Neural Parasite on a siege tank is... okay. Seriously, what does that do? What's the point? I don't get it. Like, Serral does it, Radar does it, because they're playing late game units. But with Hydraling Bane, what are you gonna... what are you preventing those guys from doing? I guess they won't be able to cloak for as long? Anyways, Blue Flame over here, very helpful. I mean, they can still cloak the entire battle, even after getting EMP'd, so it doesn't really matter all too much. Well, we saw like an 80 supply advantage for Su just a couple minutes ago. This hatchery is now in trouble. Base at the top left has been retaken. I think he mined out about half the resources on this base. Maybe a little bit less even. Okay. Actually, only 12 ghosts have gone down. Ghosts really are super marines, aren't they? They even have like the cooler, like the spacesuits are actually much more badass than that of the marines, right? Like when you look at these, don't get me wrong, the marine spacesuits are cool too, but these kind of remind me of the very first like lunar landings, right? In you know, in IRL. Pretty cool and stuff to yeah, get one of those original spacesuits, but the new ones certainly look a lot more sleek, a lot more efficient. Anyhow. He's still actually long distance mining those mineral fields there. He's actually getting to a point where he's not mining much anymore. Yeah, that's one problem. You know what? That is a problem. Su has been ahead for a very long time when it comes to the economy. But it's really not looking that hot anymore for him. Then again, Ryung is also running out of juice. Those mules are mining out the mineral fields here at the 3 o'clock very rapidly. So this expansion in the top left may actually become critical. I don't really see how anyone's going to be able to win the game without that base in the top left. Are we at 4 digits yet? Ooh, we're coming up on that. Yeah. After this cycle of Zerglings die, we're at... ooh, he's got 3 infestors. Anyways, no, he's lost 3 infestors. I was going to say. Anyways, after this group of Zerglings die, he's going to be at 4 digits of worth of Zerglings. That's pretty amazing. So soO's going to be able to take care of this base. Okay. Maybe he can mine this himself. But I almost feel like if you want to keep that base alive, you're going to almost have to give the Terran the top left. And that is certainly the more worthwhile base. I say that. Creep spread is everywhere. soO just running all the way back home in a heartbeat. Home being the left side of the map. Makes you wonder what ghosts aren't good against. Like, this is the most anti-ghost game that I've seen in a long time, and the ghosts are still pretty freaking good. That's funny. Yeah, he just continuously long distance mines those outer bases. Those ghosts. Okay, they don't get saved. Zerg is still everywhere. The harassment here from soO has been absolutely relentless. Getting rid of the Ghost Academy too. Yeah, no more ghosts in this game. Oh, apparently that is prompting him to go into more infestors. That and the fact that he's run out of minerals. Ryung though, not mining a whole lot either. Yeah, I would love to see a bunch of mules coming up here in the top left-hand corner, but yeah, I don't think that soO is really gonna give him that much time. Then again, if you can just mine this for like 30 seconds or so, the income is gonna be really nice. The Zerg once again moving towards the right side of the map. Taking that base. I almost wish that our graph would go back further than 10 minutes, because I feel like soO has been ahead economically for 25 minutes. Anyhow. Not in a game-winning position, though. I mean, he's in a good position, don't get me wrong, but this is a far more sophisticated Terran army than that of the Zerg. I like the Blue Flame Hellbats, actually. This is a relatively recent addition to this matchup. But yeah, Blue Flame Hellbats. I think they first became popular when Zergs were going heavy Brute Lord. So they roast those little Brutelings in a heartbeat. Since they only cost minerals, they can tank quite a bit as well, relatively cheaply. Much better than Marines could. Anyhow, I think Terrans have looked at that and like, you know what? They're actually still pretty good as well. They're all still pretty good as well against these lower tier armies of the Zerg too. At this point, you gotta ask yourself, do you rather want to have 2 Marines or do you want to have 1 Hellbat? No. There's a time and a place for both of them. Interestingly enough, actually, soO has never maxed out the missile upgrades. So that's actually really hurting him. Those Hydras don't deal nearly as much damage as they could have. Only 24 Hydras though in this game. Yeah, it is Hydra-Ling Bane in the strictest sense of the word, but really it's Ling Bane with a couple Hydras. A couple Infestors, a couple of Queens. Ooh, we're so close. Come on, soO. Give me a good title for this video. Come on. Come on, make it easy for me. StarCraft 2. 1,000 Zerglings? That's a good title. Yeah, that's a good title. No typos anywhere. It's beautiful. I don't know if I agree with this strategic choice right here from soO. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna mine the base on the right, you mine the base in the top left. It's just that this base in the top left had way more juice left in it because of those mules, right? I think they were taken right around the same time, but the mules mined out this base very rapidly. So, yeah. Anyhow, I think what soO is looking to do here is just get a massive fungal growth on those Terran bio balls, but they're split up wonderfully. I really actually like what Ryung is doing here. Just slowly gobbling up those mineral fields. It's easy in that, like in this stage of the game to get carried away with aggression. I think soO may have very well gotten carried away just a little bit. But it's really easy to just continuously attack right now if you're Terran as well, right? Try and force the engagement because you're scared Terran is gonna get overwhelmed. Okay, here's a move. Widow Mines dealing a lot of damage. That is not a good fight. Okay, that's a good fungal growth, though! Banelings do connect there in the end. Banelings now also connecting with siege tanks, so that's not really where you want them to go. Oh my god, really? GG! Ryung playing an excellent late game. He's the one who obtains the victory. Now, okay. Luckily for the title of this video, more than 1,000 Zerglings ended up going down in this game. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize this, but apparently the interface here, yeah, it's not quite made for 4 digits worth of units. It's cut off.